Hi, welcome to Real Sales 101, the no-nonsense approach to selling. This is basically what the schools don't teach you. So what we're going to talk about today is what the sales job entails. The sales job could be basically broken down into three parts. You have the physical aspect, the things you have to do in the job. You have the mental or emotional aspect, the type of character that you have to be, and then you have the professional aspect, what you have to do for your company or your firm while selling. Okay? So I broke it down to three different parts, but we're going to take the first part today. We're going to talk about the physical aspect. So basically the physical aspect is what you physically have to do in the sales job. It's got nothing to do with anything else. It doesn't matter what sales job you take. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter what endeavor. It doesn't matter if you're self-employed or you're working for somebody else. It doesn't matter if you're working for a big corporation or a small company, mom and pop, doesn't matter. This is what you have to do in the sales job. And you have to apply these principles to your situation, your job, depending on what it is, whether you're a one-man show or you're a 20-man show or you're a 200-man show. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do when you walk into the job, when you're selling, is what's called prospecting. Okay, so prospecting is the first thing is you're picking your demographic. Okay, you're picking your target market. So you have to know who you're selling to. You have to know the group of people, the age group of people, the class of people. You have to know if it's upper class, if it's lower class, if it's middle class. You have to know if you're dealing with people over 60 or people under 16. You have to know what you're doing. You have to know what sex you're going to appeal to. You have to know if it's everybody in general. You have to know if it's people in the Northeast or people in the Southwest. It really depends. Okay, if there's people who are homeowners or people who are apartment owners, you have to, if they're car owners or they take the bus and the subway. So these are things that you have to know. So the first thing you have to do is you have to select your demographic. You select your target. So you walk in on the sales job or you're self-employed and you say, who do I want to sell to? What do I want to do? Who do I want to present my wares to? Who am I trying to get as my customer? That's the first thing you have to do on the job. And you have to figure out who that is. Now, if you're working for somebody else, it's usually the business owner that does that. Okay? But even if you're not the business owner, okay, even if you're just a sales guy in the corporation, you still have a group of clients to pick from. Okay, they could be 20 potential customers, they could be 200 potential customers, whatever it is. And you don't just go willy-nilly on those. You still have to hone those down. You still have to bring them down to what you want to sell to, who you want to sell to. Okay, so if you're selling, mattresses, you're working for a mattress company, you're selling mattresses. Okay, so mattresses, let's say, can go to hotels, they can go to hospitals, they can go to homes, they can go to stores that sell the mattresses, whatever it is. So even in that, they can go to prisons. Okay, so army bases. I mean, there's just 1,000 places, camps. There's 1,000 places mattresses can go. So within that, you don't just say mattresses. You go where you like. There's mattresses, and then you bring it down. You say, I want to hit the hotel market, or I want to hit the army base market, or I want to hit the summer camp market, whatever it may be. And then that's the market you select, and that's what you go for. So it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what the product is. Within your realm, within your world, you are selecting a mini world, okay? The minicosm, okay? From the macrocosm, you're selecting the microcosm, okay? So this is what you're doing, and you have to select that. So you're not all over the place. And the reason why you do that is because the needs of a hotel are not, let's say, the needs of a prison. And the needs of a prison are not the needs of a summer camp. And the needs of a summer camp are not the needs of an army base. Just as an example. So you find the points. Once you select your demographic, you know what you're going to be going after and how you're going to be presenting the product. Okay? So the first thing you do is you have to pick your demographic. That is the first part of any sales job. Okay? The second part is the research. And this is where you start selecting who these people are, right? You don't just run out on the street You'll just run out on the street and start selecting people at random. Mind you, it depends on what you're selling. There are some businesses that would have to do that, right? If you're selling fried chicken on the corner, anybody who walks by is a potential customer. Okay, but you want to find out who your customers are. Okay, you want to know who they are. You want to know where they are. Okay, you want to know what to approach them with. Very important. Okay, you want to know what to approach them with, and you want to know how to approach them. Okay, the way you approach a female, let's just say, might not be the same way you approach a male. Okay, the way you approach someone who's into sports is not the way you would approach someone who's into doll making. Okay, so you have to understand where, and the same thing with with companies. When you hit a company, if the guy is making electrical transformers or if he's building automobiles, they each have different needs. Okay, so you have to establish this to yourself. This is part of the job. You don't just go, you're going to start on the job or you're going to start a business and you're going to want to say, okay, I want to sell to somebody. Okay, who are you going to sell to? What are you going to sell them? Right? These are all questions. So it's not just, yeah, I want to sell somebody. We all want to sell somebody. But knowing where you are, knowing where you're going, knowing who you're selling to, and how you're going to approach them makes all the difference in the world. So you're not wasting your time. You're not approaching somebody for an automobile screw when the guy wants a mattress, and vice versa. Okay? And you're not approaching a guy that wants an ice cream on a hot day when the guy wants to buy a transformer for to heat a building. Okay? So it really depends. You have to know where it is, and you have to know who your clients are. And you have to establish that. When you walk onto the job or you start a business, you have to establish that. Even before you start the business. Before you start your business, you have the idea that you want to do something in your business. Who are you going to sell to? Who is your target market? And you have to do the research to get these people. So you physically have to go online or get these lists of industries. City halls usually have them. Municipalities have them. States probably have them. Provinces probably have them. All these places have them. Okay, and you go and you find your targets. You find the people. You actually find the physical names. Or if you're working and you're dealing with people one-on-one, then you see maybe there's people you want to do a mailing to. There's different ways of doing it, but you have to figure out, and you're going to have to do your research. That's part of the job. That's a big part of the job. If you don't do your research, you'll find yourself running like a chicken without a head. You'll find yourself all over the place. You're going to be wasting your effort, wasting a lot of your time, and a lot of it, if your effort is not going to be coming back to you. Keep in mind, we want you to improve your odds. And this is what it does. Nothing is perfect, but you improve your odds. Okay? So you're going to research. The next thing you're going to have to do on the job is prepare yourself. Right? You're on the job. You have to make preparations. So you're going to go and you sit down at your desk or you start your business and now you know the customers that you want to call. I'm going to call this guy. I'm going to call the summer camps for the mattresses. Okay, fine. You want to sell mattresses to summer camps. That's great. But you don't just call right away. You have to prepare yourself. You have to know what you're going to say. You have to know how you're going to say it. You have to make these lists and you have to write down what you're going to do. Okay, so you're going to go, you have to have all your tools. You have to have your brochures, right? You're representing a mattress company. So you want to go and present that. So you're going to go see the buyer of the summer camps and you're going to say, I sell mattresses. And the guy's going to say, well, that's great. What do you sell? Whose brand do you sell? Can I see what you've got? Well, you're not going to carry 30 mattresses with you. You're just not going to do it. So you're going to have a brochure. So make sure you have the brochure. This is a brochure from company A. This is a brochure from company B. This is a brochure from a guy who makes stuff upstate. This is a brochure from a guy who makes stuff on the West Coast and from the East Coast. And you're going to show the line of products. So you prepare yourself. You have to prepare all these tools. You have to have your pen with you. You have to make sure your cell phone is charged. You have to make sure you have paper with you to write things down. You have to make sure you've got your questions in order. You have to have all this done beforehand, your brochures. So when you go out, you have to have samples. Make sure you have your samples. Okay, very often salespeople go and they don't have these things. I find that odd, personally, when a salesman comes to see me and I say, oh, okay, and he's talking to me and this and that. Yeah, well, I'm sorry, I lost my pencil. Yeah, well, I don't have paper to write on, or no, I don't have any samples with me. Okay, you made an appointment telling me you come to introduce yourself, and yet no samples. Like, you come to show me your product, no samples, no brochures. Should try and get that stuff in line before you go out. Okay. When you go out, also, or when you see customers, or when you stay in, or when you're building a business, very important thing also that you have to do on the job is dress appropriately. All the sales courses are all focused on the corporate world. And the corporate world is where we all have been trained to believe that sales take place. But the vast majority of sales, but that's a sale of a corporation to a corporation. And that is a lot of sales. And when you go out in the world to work for a company, generally you're working for some kind of manufacturer or some distributor, some middleman, and you're going to sell. And when you go to sell, all that is geared towards going to sell to another corporation, to another firm. And it's always done with a jacket and tie. It's always done in a suit. It's always done with proper business attire. And that's the way it should be done. But that is the appropriate dress for that world, for the corporate world. It's not necessarily the appropriate dress for all the worlds. You're not going to walk onto a farm to sell hay baling equipment in a suit and a tie, right? You might not resonate with the customer. He might not relate to you. He might not feel you. And you want him to feel you, okay? And let's say you're working in a tattoo parlor and you want to get business in. You want people to come in for tattoos. A suit and tie is not really going to cut it. So just as much sales, if not more sales, is happening outside of the corporate world as to inside the corporate world. Even if you're calling on a mom and pop and they're selling soft drinks or bags of chips, when you go into the mom and pop store, you're not going to go in, well, you can go in the jacket and tie, and it's respectable and people, whatever. But if you're going in a community where people don't wear that, or where temperatures don't allow for it, or whatever it is, whatever the culture is, you basically go with the culture, but you dress appropriately. That's part of the job. It's not a place for freedom of expression. You can wear a wild tie, that's okay, but you're not going to go with God knows what, dressed like a big bird on Sesame Street or something. I mean, you're not going to do that. Okay, that's not acceptable to the customer. It really isn't. Your self-expression is for your own time, your own freedom. Go for it. Knock yourself out. But on the job, when you're trying to get people for your business, or you're working for someone and you're doing that, you have to dress appropriately. So the companies will usually have dress codes that they'll want you to adhere to. You have to adhere to that. Or you're working in a community, a certain community, and you dress for that. Maybe you're part of the corner store, and you have all the store members on the street. And nobody wears a jacket and tie, so you're not going to wear a jacket and tie. You might wear an open collar shirt or a short sleeve shirt, or you might wear a golf shirt. Or hey, maybe everyone just wears t-shirts and shorts and they're all relaxed. You're selling beach equipment and you go around with sandals. That's how you can go around. And that's okay, as long as it's appropriate and it's clean for the industry that you want, the culture that you're selling into, that you belong to and that you're selling into. Okay? The biggest part now on the sales job, the one thing that people have the hardest time with, the hardest point is, and this is part of the job, if you can't handle this, the job is not for you. The biggest part of the job is the phone call, the contact with the customer. Once you've got everything laid out, you're going to have to call people. And I know people say, well, of course, naturally, you're going to call people. Yeah. All this is easy to say. I stand and I try and give you, what you're going to need to do in sales, how you're going to survive, and this and that. And many, I would say even in some instances, the majority of people have a hard time with these. They might know it, but they don't do it. Or they do it, and they do it improperly. Okay? And there is a way to do things, but part of the job is when you're in sales, make no bones about it, you have to sell. That's the name of the game. If you're a fireman, you got to deal with fire. Okay, if you're a policeman, you got to police. If you're a carpenter, you got to bang wood together. That's it. Your sales, you have to sell. And selling is done by contacting the customer. You have to be able to contact the customer. You're going to have to contact the customer. And you have to do it by however many times it takes for you to generate your business, to build your business. Either what your firm demands of you. I want you to call 20 people a day. You like it or you don't. You call 20 people a day. Okay, fine. You call 20 people a day. Or you have your own and you see you can get away with calling 10 people a day. And you make your numbers doing it that way. But you got to call people. You need to reach the clients. That's the biggest part of the sales job, is reaching the clients. It's also the hardest part of the sales job, because that's the part of the sales where you get the most no's. That's where you get the most rejection. That's where you get derailed the most, when you're trying to contact the client. Okay? But you have to reach them any which way you can. You have to figure out the way, and you have to reach them. Okay? Generally, it's done with phone calling or face-to-face. You go up to a guy, and the phone call is to make a meeting, right? You want to see the guy, you want to invite the guy, you want to go to the guy, whatever it may be. That's what you have to do. That's the physical part of the job that you have to do. Okay? You might be emailing a guy. Okay, fine. If you get the results, no problem. You do your little emails. Okay? But if you don't get the results, you can't. Nothing beats the old-fashioned way of selling. Face-to-face. Face-to-face, your best bet, hands down. Face-to-face is where you can read a person's body language. Face-to-face is where you hear the tone in his voice. Face-to-face is where you have his greatest attention. Email, the attention is this amount. Face-to-face, it's this amount. Okay? Face-to-face is golden. I don't care about all the newfangled ways of selling and this and that. It all comes down to the basics. I haven't seen many that have beaten the good old face-to-face. And you get the face-to-face by picking up the phone and calling the guy. And you have to make those calls. If you're not willing to make the calls, chances are, or to reach out to the customers the way your market generally reaches out to the customers, chances are you're not going to succeed. And that's where a lot of people drop the ball. That's where a lot don't come through. Okay? So the next part is you're basically meeting clients. You've got to go out and you've got to meet the customers. You've got to go shake their hands. Hi, how are you? My name is so-and-so. Who are you? Blah, blah, blah. And that's what you have to do. Okay? You've got to physically go to the client's location and meet the customer. Okay? I don't care if it's on an excavation dig. If you've got to go to an excavation dig, I've made sales calls, fire stations in the middle of the night because they have shifts. And I would have to go and have to do a demonstration of products. Years ago, I'd have to do a demonstration of products, and you had 3 shifts in the firehouse. So I'd have to go for the morning shift, the afternoon shift, and the midnight shift, the graveyard shift. And I would have to go in the middle of the night with all the firemen there, and I would have to demonstrate my wares. You have to go and meet the client, and you have to go and do your demonstrations. You have to do this. You have to get hands-on in the customer's milieu, or bring the customers to you, fair enough, but you've got to go and do it. And if you're running a hair shop or a salon and you physically have to step out on the street and say, excuse me, sir, or excuse me, ma'am, why don't you come in and see what we've got here? I've got everything on sale for you. Whatever you have to do, that's what you have to do. Okay? So that is a huge part of the job. Calling the client, you meet the clients. Meet them. On the phone is okay, but again, on the phone, the guy's mind is wandering. He doesn't really care about you. You're using the phone to get to the meat. You're calling him to get to the meat, the actual meeting. Because in the meeting is where you're going to close the guy, where you're going to work with the guy, where you're going to get his best attention. You're going to pull him into you. Okay? The next is, when you're meeting the guy, you have to talk up your products. So you have to be able to talk. Very important. If you can't talk or you're a poor talker, you need to work on that, because the sales job is talking. It's listening, of course. You know what they say? God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we should listen twice as much as we talk. Okay. But you need to be able to talk up your product or your service. You have the customer's attention. Now what do? Well, you've got to tell them what you do. I cut hair. I cut the best hair in the planet. I make ice cream. My ice cream is so good. Everyone dies for my ice cream. They travel from 15 states to come to my ice cream. Okay, so or my mattresses are so comfy, cozy. They're good for the light people. They're good for the heavy people, the tall people, the short people. I've got a mattress that molds around your body like nobody's business. Okay, fine. That's great. That's what you have to do. You have to be able to talk up your product or service. If you're not the talking type, if you like to sit quiet, if you're there and you're just going to go, I don't know. Okay, look at me, kick your heels or something. It's not going to work. You're there, you have the client's attention, wherever it may be, on the street, in your shop, in an office tower somewhere, doesn't matter where. You have to talk up your product. You have to talk about your product or service. You're trying to sell the customer. He wants to know, what are you trying to sell me? What are you trying to sell me? He doesn't know. You know. He gave you his time. You have to talk about your product in the time that he gave you, the half hour, the hour, the day, the 5 minutes, whatever it may be. That's what you have to do, okay? Another thing you're going to have to do is you have to field questions. Okay? The customer is going to ask you questions. He's going to ask you a lot of questions. He's going to ask you difficult questions, okay? You have to be able to field those questions. You can't look like a deer in the headlights when he asks you the questions. Now, of course, when you're starting off in the job and you're new or you're starting in a position, you don't yet know all the questions, and that's fine, and you're learning. And you can tell that to the customer. Physically, you can tell that to the customer. The guy's going to ask you, well, how long until you can make me 50 mattresses for my camp? We have to place an order. I'm going to need 50 mattresses. How long? You might not know the answer to that question. You might not know it. You're new on the job. You don't know. Your boss says call people, or you're starting a business and you want to sell mattresses and you don't know that the company on the East Coast, when they're going to ship their mattresses. You don't know. So you can tell the client, okay? Most clients, when I say most, I mean, 98% of them, if you tell them sincerely, are going to give you the time. So you say, listen, I'm just starting off. Let me find out for you. Let me get back to you. There's going to be a lot of questions you have to field, right? He's going to want to know the price. He's going to want to know when shipping is, the sizes. He's going to want to know the specs of the product. Okay, even you're selling an ice cream. A guy could say, how much sugar is in there? Is it lactose free? Is it gluten free? Is it kosher? I mean, there's like a zillion different questions they can ask for all kinds of things. Okay, so you're going to have to field all these questions. Now, you should have some knowledge because you've done your preparation, right? You've done your preparation in order to get there. You're not going to come in and go, I sell ice cream. Okay. Well, sir, what flavors do you have? The usual flavors. And is there a lot of sugar in them? Yeah, I don't know. I guess all ice cream is sugar. I mean, you're not going to do that. Okay? So you have to have some preparation, know a bit about your product. And then from there, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to answer his questions. And for what you don't know, another thing you have to do is you've got to go back to your office, back to your home, back to your basement, wherever it may be, and you've got to put together the answers. You've got to get the guy his answers. He asked you questions, he's expecting answers. If he's asking questions, there's a bit of an interest there. And if there's not an interest there and he's just asking you questions to blow you off, in a future video, we're going to show how you can get from him question asking just to blow you off, just to send you away quicker, to actually getting him to buy from you. Okay? We're going to get to that, but this is all basics and stuff. What you need to know. So you have to research the stuff you didn't know, and you have to get back to your customer. Don't leave your customer hanging in a lurch. He asked you a question. You said you don't know. Fair enough. You said you're just new on the job. Fair enough. You said you have to research, even if you're old on the job. It doesn't matter. It's a legitimate excuse. You could say, you know what, things have changed. Let me find out. You can use any excuse you want. Things have changed. There's new management. You know what? There's new specs. Let me find out. I'm not clear on the new specs. I want to give you the right answer the first time around. And the guy's going to say, oh, this guy wants to give me the right answer first time around. Fantastic. He might not like the fact that you don't have the answer there, but you can't know everything. But when you tell him, you don't want to waste his time with a wrong answer. That's beautiful. You want to go and you want to find the right answer to give him the right answer so as not to waste his time and to give him the straight goods right away. He'll give you all the time in the world. He'll say, get back to me in 2 months. I don't really care. Okay, well, he might not want to wait 2 months. I mean, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but he's going to say, just get back to me. Sure, get back to me. I want the right answer. I don't want to be told the wrong answer or a blow-off answer or an answer that's going to appease me. Nobody wants to. Think of yourself as the customer. When you ask a question of a salesperson, do you want the right answer? Or would you rather wait a little bit and get the right answer? Or would you rather it gives you a quick answer right away and there's a strong possibility, even a small possibility, that it's the wrong answer? You can answer that question yourself. Nobody wants the wrong answer. If you say you want the wrong answer in a hurry, you're basically lying. You're lying to yourself, you're lying to me, you're lying to everyone around. You're lying. That's it. Nobody wants that. Everybody would rather wait a little bit of time, not forever, but a little bit of time, get the right answer. So you're going to have to go and do your research, okay? The next thing you have to do is you're going to have to deal with problems. When you're there with a customer, you don't just walk in and sell it and bye-bye. I'm gone. I'm out of here, man. My job is done. Some places, yes, some places. Some places. Most places, the places where you could sell and bye-bye, your job is done, are the places on a guy on a street corner. He doesn't care. You turn around, he's made the sale, he's off. Most people are not that. Most people have a physical location. Most people have a physical address that they're working on, okay, or they're working from. So what happens is that you're going to have to deal with problems. You're going to have to deal with issues because the customer is going to have them. Some guy is going to eat the ice cream and tell you it's not good enough. It's melting too quickly. Some guy's going to lay down on the mattress and going to say it's too soft. The next guy's going to, it's too hard. Think of a Goldilocks and the Three Bears, okay? You're going to have to go through 2 problems before you get the right one. Too soft, too hard, just right. Too hot, too cold, just right. Okay? Too high, too low, just right. Too big, too small, just right. So you're going to have to go through. That's actually a pretty good average. I never thought of that before, but that's a pretty good average, okay? For every 3 that you make, 2 are going to have an issue or a problem. 1 is going to be, okay, no issues, no problems. So you have to be able to deal with that. You're going to have to deal with that. You have no choice in the matter because what happens is if you don't deal with that, bye-bye. That's it. There's other people that sell mattresses. There's other people that sell ice creams. Other people that do haircuts. If you go in to see a guy, even if you don't give the customer 100% satisfaction, I'm not telling you how to run your business, right? You at least have to acknowledge that the customer has a problem and you're going to work on correcting that problem down the road. Sometimes you can't do anything. Sometimes the specs of the mattress are the specs of the mattress. One guy finds it too hard, one guy finds it too soft. Well, sir, I'm sorry. I sent you a sample mattress, you tried it, you liked it. There's nothing I can do for you. Okay? But you have to listen to the customer's problem. You got to listen to him whine and complain about it. You have to listen to him beef about it. Sometimes the beefs are legitimate, sometimes they're not legitimate. It doesn't matter. That's not for you to decide. Okay? He's going to make them anyways. Even if they're not legitimate, he's going to make them anyways, and you have to listen to them. So you have to deal with those things, okay? And expect them because they are part of the job. They are part of the job. I would say the majority of your day is dealing with clients' issues, dealing with clients' dissatisfaction, clients' problems. That's the majority of the day. So for every sale you make, for every hour, let's say in the sale, expect 2 more hours of issue. For every good sale you make, where no one has anything negative to say, expect 2 more that are going to be an issue. You have to be able to deal with those issues. You have to have that fortitude. It's something you have to deal with. You have to learn to deal with it. It's part of the job. It's a huge part of the job, a massive part of the job. That is your job, whether you have a business or you sell, whatever you're doing, okay? The next thing you have to do is you have to quote people, okay? So you're going to be quoting them. You're going to be giving them prices. Now, why I mention this is because any computer program will give a guy a price. But you're not just giving a guy a price. The guy's not asking you, what's your price for that ice cream? Or what's that price for your mattress? Depends on the kind of sale, okay? But it's not just price. I mean, yeah, I guess if you walk into a store and there's things hanging on the rack, okay, the price, you see the price, the guy can decide right then and there if he wants. But if you want to sell the person, it's more than just giving the price. For the price does not need salespeople. What is needed with the salesperson doesn't just give a price. Here's your price, goodbye. The salesperson quotes, gives the price, and gives supporting information behind it. You have to give supporting information, and you have to get the client's reaction. You have to see where the client is. Maybe the client is on your page, maybe you're not. Maybe the client, if you watch these shows, these pawn shop shows, or these antique shows where the people come in and they buy and they negotiate, all these shows, they negotiate. It's not just a price. It's never just a price. You don't just walk in and say, oh, I've got this pen from a President Lincoln. Oh, okay, great, a ballpoint pen. I love it. Okay, what's the price? Oh, here's a pen, I don't know, $50 and goodbye. No, you're talking up the pen being used by President Lincoln. President Lincoln owned this pen. You talk about it. Then you don't just go, the price is never just the price. Sometimes it is, but you have to sell up the product. So in the giving of the price, you're negotiating. You have to be able to negotiate. The good negotiations come with time and practice, with experience, okay? And a little bit of skill, okay? And you have to be able to feel your way with the customer. Really important, because you don't know what he's thinking. So you have to feel your way and you have to read the customer. These are things that you have to do on the job. You have no choice in the matter, okay? So you're not just giving the price, because just giving a price, a computer program could just blip the price. If you go on these big websites, where you buy online or something, you don't have to sell anything. Here's the price. Even they sell you, though. Mind you, I stand corrected. Even they sell you. It's not just the price. You don't just look at the price and buy the product. There's always a description, what our product is good for, what the product is about. And there's always a list of people that give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, 2 stars out of 5, 5 stars out of 5, 10 stars out of 5. There's always that. Always. So even the price is giving you a whole sales presentation. They're giving you a negotiation. And that's what you have to do. You're the mouthpiece for that. You're the body for that. That's what you have to do. So you're doing your quoting, you're doing the negotiating. And this is what helps you come down to the sale. Okay? So when you start your job, you have to understand your position. You understand what you're doing. You understand the sales process. And this is what you physically have to do. Physically, okay? So you have to know, what your tasks entail. And this is basically what your tasks entail. I mean, of course, you try and close the sale and everything. And that's part of the negotiation is the sale closing. So this is something that you have to focus on. Like the expression goes, the ABC, the always be closing. It's the truth. From the time you start your first research till the time you're done with the customer, all those steps in between, you're always closing. Everything has that direction, that focus to close the sale. Otherwise, why are you there? Okay, so this is what you have to do. So you have to understand what your tasks entail. And you have to work on these things. And you have to get to the point where you're closing the sale with the customer. Because if you don't do that, if you don't understand why you're there or what you do or what your tasks are, some companies have actual closers. You have professional closers. There's some people who open and there's some people who close. There's some people that just give the technical aspect and they're not allowed to close. And that's fine. So they put good professional closers in there. And you might be good for that. You might have a skill for that. So you go in and you're the right kind of guy to close the sale. Not everyone's like that. Generally, salespeople start from first to last and they go through the whole thing. So you've got to be able to close the guy. Can I help you? That kind of thing. And you have to be able to get him to sign the deal. Okay? Now, it's important to know all these steps. Why? Because it prevents you from making errors. It prevents you from misdirection. Okay, so you're not running off over here when you should be running there. You're not talking about soft and cozy when you're trying to sell ice cream. And you're not talking about sweet and creamy with multiple flavors when you're trying to sell mattresses. Okay, and you're not, when they give you a list of names to call, you're not just now having to research names. You were given a list of names to call. So you really have to know what your job entails. What it is, depending on where you're working, depending on what you're doing, depending on what business you're trying to build or you're running. If you're running a bakery or you're running a chain of bakeries. Okay, so it really depends. And by knowing that, it allows you to stay on the right track, to avoid the errors, to avoid the misdirections, avoid the missteps. Okay, so overall, the sales job on the physical aspect, okay, it's being a representative for your firm or yourself. Whatever your firm is, even if your firm is just you're representing your firm. You go and you're talking about something, right? You're just selling something that you have. You're a one-man show. That's your firm. So when I say your firm, you could be a huge multinational that's got sales in the tens of billions with thousands of people worldwide, or it's just you. Doesn't matter. That's your firm. It's the same thing. So you're a representative for your firm physically. That's what you are. Okay. With the directive, okay, you have a directive. So you're representing your firm with the directive of promoting your product or service. Okay, that's your directive. That's your job somewhere in there, whether it be customer service or whether you're a closer at high-end selling jet aircraft to the rich and famous, whatever it is, okay? That's your directive, to promote your product and service, product and or service, okay? To acquire customers, okay, and to keep customers. That's part of your job. You're either acquiring them or you're keeping them, right? You're either given customers already, the firm you're working for already has customers, and you have to make sure they stay with you, or they don't have customers, or you don't have customers, and you have to go out and get them. So that's what you're doing. So to acquire and keep the customers, that's what you're doing, okay? For a specific purpose of increasing or growth of sales and growth of profits. Okay, so the purpose of you doing this is to build your sales or to build your profits on both. That's generally the purpose of this. So just as an overall, okay, I'll just repeat this one more time so people have this, okay? Your job, the sales job, is being a representative for your firm, okay, with the directive of promoting your product or service, okay, to either acquire customers or to keep customers you already have for the specific purpose of growth of your sales, which means growth of your business, or growth of your profits and or growth of your profits. Okay, so that's it for today. I hope it was beneficial. I hope it was helpful. And feel free to comment or like or subscribe and all that stuff. And also, I'm available for private teaching. If people want, I'm available for private teaching. I actually do teach sales, outside of this. And so if anyone is looking for that as a private tutor or to work in a company or to train their sales staff or that kind of thing, then this is something that we do also. So thank you very much. It was a pleasure, as always. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.